Hi, I'm Tyson Franklin, and welcome to this week's episode of the Podiatry Legends podcast. With me today, I have Cameron Bennett. He's the owner of My Family Podiatry, which is in North Brisbane. So, Cameron, how are you doing today?
Good, Tyson. How are you, mate? Thanks for having me on.
No, that's good. And where exactly are you in North Brisbane? Because that's a big area, North Brisbane.
Yeah, so our main clinic's in Albany Creek in North Brizzy. So just near Chermside.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Chermside. Everyone knows where Chermside is. If they're ever in
Absolutely.
Brisbane on the north side, they've been to Chermside. That's where the
Absolutely.
Apple store is.
Exactly. That's right. It's it's the signpost that you can guide everyone from. So yeah, it's
It's
good.
true though. It is. It's one of those areas where if you say, "Oh, I'm so many k's from Chermside, north, south, east, or west, whatever it is," everyone knows where Chermside is,
Yeah,
unless you're from overseas and they just go, "No idea what Chermside is." Chermside is. So
exactly.
please move on, guys.
Yeah.
Uh, hey, by the way, what did you think of the Work Smarter, Not Harder event?
Mate, it was great. It was a really nice weekend. I took a lot from Jonathan. That was really really handy and implemented a bit of that into practice already. But the other really big thing that I found was the people that we
Yeah,
connected with. So
how good was that?
um,
That was a good group.
yeah, it was awesome. There's some great people, some people I haven't seen in a while, and then some new faces. And yeah,
Yeah,
it was awesome. And being able to kind of continue to network and speak with them's been invaluable. It's awesome.
and you've stayed in touch with a few people since doing it.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So yeah, a few people just bouncing ideas off each other every now and again, and yeah, it's been great.
Yeah, what I really enjoyed about that, I can see the dynamics in the room, and that's why I always tell people live events, and especially small group events, they're just the best things to go to.
Yeah, agreed. Agreed. You can just network, you can meet these other people, and it's the interactions between the presentation. Hey, the presentation's one thing, and that's great to
Yeah,
learn, but it's the interactions between it that I think you get the most value from.
yeah, and the dumb shit people say from the crowd. It's funny.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
That's
you'll
the
be
best
talking about
part.
something, being totally serious, and then someone will make one funny comment, and you just crack up laughing, and then
Yeah,
everybody
absolutely.
laughs, and then that could just be the thing that just keeps on going. So, anyway, let's get on to what we're talking about today. So, before we start on what we're going to chat about, what got you into podiatry? Always interesting to know.
It was a journey. I left school and always thought I was going to go do medicine. So went through, did a biomedical science degree, got through
Yep.
that. Got to the end and realized two things. One, I didn't really have enough passion to push all the way through medicine, and two, I probably wasn't smart enough either. But I was
I
okay. I
do
was
not
okay.
believe that. I don't think doctors are that smart anyway.
No, but you have to have the passion. This is the biggest thing.
I think it's the passion. Like I truly, no, I shouldn't take that back. I don't. It's not that I don't believe doctors are smart,
yeah,
but I don't believe that they are any smarter than a podiatrist who is passionate about what they do. I think it's what
yeah.
you said. It's that you got to have that passion and fire to want to go through that 6 year process and all the other stuff that goes along with it.
And that was it. I was like, I can probably get through 6 years. We can get through that part, but it's everything else that goes along with it.
Mm.
And yeah, it just wasn't for me. So finished off science, started law. I hated that, so I
Jeez,
dropped out. Yeah,
I
dropped
didn't
out pretty
realize
quick.
I didn't realize you were the same age as me. You're looking so much better.
I know. Oh, it's my skin routine.
Yeah,
Um,
and hair.
yeah, exactly. That helps. So then, yeah, dropped out of law and did personal training for a fair while. So just worked as a personal trainer. That was a lot of fun, but not really the long game. And
Yeah.
so started having a bit of a look around at what I wanted to do. And podiatry had a 100% employment rate out of uni. So I went, that'll do me. Got in and started studying and
What was
yeah,
it about
just
podiatry that stood out to you? Because there was, physiotherapy, optometry. You could have done anything else.
yeah. So I did have a bit of a look at physio, but it's pretty saturated. The industry comparative to podiatry, of course, is there's just so many physios. So your opportunities for what you're going to do down the track were a bit more limited.
And I always say, imagine if I said, "Hey, Cameron, you have a choice: touch my feet or rub my bum. What would you
Yeah.
rather do?" Seriously.
That's it. And I get to wear gloves. I get to wear gloves when I'm doing it. Hey, like we have a physio who rents a room off us here at the clinic, and
Yeah.
he's massaging people, and you got the skin on your
Oh,
hands, and nah, not for
oh
me,
no.
not for me.
Yeah.
I couldn't do it. I,
No.
I just I don't want to do it. So I think I've made the right choice. How long has it been now? 7 years. 7 years I've been doing podiatry now, so it's going
How
well
old
so
are you
far.
now?
32.
All right. Okay. Oh, years to burn.
Yeah,
I actually
yeah,
remember being
just
32.
it's no, I lie. I'm 31 actually. I'm 32 soon. Jeez, I'm not even
Okay.
32 yet. There you go. I'm getting there.
Well, you've got a lot of years ahead of you, and you've done so much already, which is pretty cool.
It's been fun. It's been fun, but
So
it's
you
just
did
getting started.
podiatry. You got through podiatry. Obviously, you enjoyed it and you've stayed with it. You've
Yep.
been out for a number of years now. Did you work for somebody else first before opening up your own practice?
Yeah. So when I first left uni, so I graduated from QUT here in Brisbane.
Yep.
Finished off here. I moved down to Tasmania, worked at a clinic in Devonport up in the north of Tasmania, worked there for 12 months, which was fantastic. So the health system in Tassie's not fantastic. Like it's pretty saturated, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And especially up the northwest coast where I was, it had the highest per capita diabetic population in Australia at the time. So we're seeing a lot of wacky stuff in private practice as well. You know, people coming in. One of the best ones was a bloke came in. He got bitten by a feral cat, and
That happens a lot.
he was a neuropathic diabetic as well. So he didn't know, and he's like trying to get this cat off. And long story short, he'd broken his toe. He had this raging infection. It was crazy, but you know, getting into the hospital was going to be difficult. So he came to see me instead. It was fantastic learning experience. Just managed to pick up so much that I wouldn't have seen up here. But spent 12 months down there, finished up, came back up to Brizzy. I've bounced around.
Was there a reason you only stayed 12 months, or is that's the contract you were offered, or you thought, I'm only going to do it for 12 months and then I want to come back to Brisbane?
Yeah. So my partner, she works in marketing, and there's not a lot of marketing opportunity down in Devonport. So she had a marketing qualification. She doesn't actually work in marketing now anyway,
Yeah.
but there was not much opportunity down there. So we decided to move back up here and come back a bit closer, give her a bit more opportunity with stuff. So she moved down there for me for a while, and it was time to head back up.
You still got her?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, just checking.
A couple of kids later, and still going strong. So
what I do, I like to ask the questions that people in the car driving, I probably think, oh, I wonder if he's still with her. Because you had to have gone through it, you added it as party. So you go, oh, no, we broke up as soon as we came back. No, it's good, you're still together.
Yeah, still giving it a crash. She's still putting up with me, so it's good.
No, that's great. So when you came back to Brisbane, you worked for somebody else then, or did you set up your own practice?
Yeah, so I actually bounced around. So I was working for a big corporate. That's what took me down to Tassie, came back up here, stayed working for them at another clinic, lasted there a little bit, and then went off to a multi-D clinic. It was myself as the podiatrist with one other pod, and then a whole heap of physios, exercise physiologists, massage, all the rest. I stayed there for about 18 months. That was awesome. Just picked up, learnt little bits from everyone there. Saw small business as well, which was really, really great. And then finished up there, went and did 3 months in aged care. That was not so great, but it was a learning experience.
So I shouldn't laugh because I shouldn't laugh because that type of work is important.
Of course.
And there's certain people that are just really suited towards it. Like there's some people who are not suited for biomechanics and sports.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, I did 6 months in a hospital before moving to Cairns.
Yep.
And anyone who's in a hospital, I'm not bagging you, but my God, it was the laziest I've ever been in my life.
I couldn't do it. Yeah.
Oh, it was lazy. It was lazy work. Yeah. And I just went, I'd turn up and they go, oh, you got these 8 patients you had to see today. Okay, seriously.
Yeah. Wow. I've never done hospital, maybe down the track, but aged care absolutely was not for me.
Well, that was 30 years ago for me too. So it's probably all changed now. They probably work them really, really hard now.
I'm sure they work real hard. Yep.
Flat out.
Anyway, I lasted 3 months in aged care, and then went back to private practice in another clinic for a big corporate, and was there for another 18 months or so, and went out on my own.
Same big corporate or a different one?
Same big corporate. They took me back, would you believe? Yeah, they took me back.
And you went back?
Yeah. No, aged care wasn't great.
So even working for a corporate company, and we probably all know who you work for, but we'll treat it like Voldemort. We won't mention the name. Mm. And there's a joke in there too.
I'll leave that one alone.
I'll tell you when we finish. No, I'll tell you when we finish about the Voldemort joke. And there'll be a few people who are at the Work Harder, Not Smarter event that if they hear this will be laughing at the moment. But I'll tell you when we get off. Anyway, so the big corporate that you worked for, what did you learn working there? What were your takeaways working with a big corporate? Just tell me the positives. Don't have to bag them in any way.
100%. Look, I think it's fantastic for learning. Effectively, you're learning on someone else's dollar to an extent, which is, as an employer now, not the
Yeah.
best thing.
Yeah.
But there is no place better than to get a job, right? You are learning whilst you're getting paid. Like, how much better can it be, rather than going
Mm.
out losing your own money while you're trying to refine these skills? It was fantastic. Like, I was seeing volumes of patients, seeing a good mix of everything. Yeah, I learned a lot in terms of how clinics can run, staff management, even just like my own sort of leadership and managerial skills were tested in that environment. So it was really, really good. I took a lot from it. It wasn't going to be the long-term play, but
Yeah.
it worked. It really worked for when I was there, and things didn't end in the best way. But look, it's I wouldn't change it.
Okay, that's good then. Yeah, because I've had some people that, yeah, students graduating, they've approached me and said, "Oh, I've thought about taking a job with, a company we should not mention."
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
and I've gone, okay, and I go, well, what are your plans? What is it you want to do? Where do you see yourself in the future? And if someone have gone, oh well, yeah, like I don't want to be overworked, and I want to be part of a team, but I want to be able to just take holidays, and I said, go and work for them for a couple of years. I said,
Absolutely.
if you want to work there, work there. I said, but if you're not enjoying that environment, there's a lot of other clinics out there. I said, but if you're not very good, I said, yeah, if you don't think you can really cut working, not hard, but just working, really getting in there and working and wanting to improve, then stay there.
100%. Exactly. Don't explore. The grass isn't going to be greener. It's an environment that, yeah, I've said this a little bit about podiatry, and this is not a critique so much on individuals as it is on the industry as a whole, is that podiatry is still a very small industry. And what that means is that some of the worst ones don't get pushed out. In some of these other industries, you've got people that are underperforming and perhaps don't really cut it, but they get pushed out because there's so many good practitioners or whatever it might be in that industry that these bad ones get pushed out. Podiatry is not there yet. So the bad ones still get to retain jobs. They still get to see patients. They still get paid a really good wage. And that's something that I'm sure will probably change in the future. But yeah, if you're not someone that wants to actually work or sort of get in and get involved, then look, there's certainly places that you can probably just drift along still. And,
but there's some private practices that would be exactly the same. They just want someone that can put a hat on that has podiatrist written on there.
Yeah,
and they're going to throw 20 toenails at you a day. You just clip them, bulk bill, go home. We don't want you to think. We don't need any new ideas. The clinic's been here for 20 something years. It's plodded along fine. And
just keep doing it, just towing the company line of bare minimum and send them on their way.
But I think if you're an ambitious podiatrist, I think there's also a lot of good podiatry clinics out there and a lot of just good podiatrists to work with, just to have in your circle of podiatry friends.
I agree. I've got some absolutely fantastic mates in podiatry. There are some just brilliant human beings who are always going to be going out of their way to help you. I want to think that maybe I'm I'm there to try and help people as well. Yeah. But if anyone ever needs anything, just reach out. We'll chat at the end. But yeah, there are some absolutely fantastic clinicians. There's some fantastic business owners and people who just love what they do and want to help other people succeed. And that's awesome. Like there's nothing better than that. But you can have that in every industry, hey, where you get some of these bad apples. But I think that as a whole, podiatry is in a good place. There's some fantastic individuals in it.
Yeah, I've got to agree. So you ended up opening up your own practice?
Yeah, I did.
How much fun's that been?
It's been wild. It's been brilliant though. Hey, so it's been a challenge. Every day is a challenge. But we started off. This is a whole other podcast topic that I'd love to chat about sometime. Yeah. But one piece of advice that I got early on, actually from the clinic that I worked in Tassie, was sold to the big corporate by this husband and wife who started it. And they're great mentors of mine. Yeah. They've really helped me along the way. But they gave me this one piece of advice that's always stuck with me, and it was to limit your overheads when you first start. Because that nothing will kill you quicker than having a huge rent bill alone for all this equipment that you've bought and you've got no patience. So I started off renting a room off a physio 1 day a week, not taking your advice of always having a receptionist. So I didn't have a receptionist. I was
Yeah.
doing my own phone calls in between patients. I was working for Carly up the sunny coast. She gave me an opportunity when I was in a tight place.
That's Carly O'Donoghue, in case anyone's wondering. Carly's on the Sunshine
Yeah,
Coast, does the book reviews with me, and she
absolute
is
killer.
a
Absolute
good friend,
amazing.
and fun person to hang around.
She's a great person, absolutely
Yeah.
great podiatrist, and yeah, really helped me out when I needed. So I was working up there a few days a week. Picked up 1 day a week with the physio. That got busy, grew it to 2, grew it to 3, went full time, doing sort of 6 days a week there for 15 months.
Did you have your own
And
separate
then,
database when you're in the physio clinic?
yeah, I did. Yeah.
Okay,
So I was
good. Good work.
running my own management software, doing all my own billings, doing all that kind of
Oh,
stuff.
great. Yep.
I had an admin at the front desk who greeted the patients, but I did all the rest of it. And then, yeah, took the plunge, set up a 3-room practice up here by ourselves, which has been something pretty crazy as well. Just, learning experience, doing the fit out, buying the equipment, doing all that kind of stuff. And then recently just put on a couple of new podiatrists as well. So the team's growing. It's awesome. It's been really a roller coaster experience. Absolutely crazy.
Did you find it hard getting a podiatrist?
I found it hard getting a good podiatrist.
Yeah.
I think that's
I like that.
the distinction. So there's people around. There's people around, but one thing I've learned the hard way is that you need to get the right people for the team. So we had an experience that it just didn't work out because it was the wrong person for the team, and I wasn't in a position to be the right manager for that person, and they weren't the right person for me at the time either.
And that's the part that some employees are going to understand too. If this is your first business and this is the first time you've employed someone, you're never going to be the best boss either. And they've got to, so I actually think employees, when they go and work somewhere, should ask, how many people have you employed before? And the business owner is going to go, oh, you're my first one. And therefore, this is going to be a learning curve for both of you. And I think you'll forgive each other for the mistakes that you make.
100%.
Because
it actually segues us to, oh, mate, I've made many.
I'll tell you, I reckon some of the people that worked for me way back in the early days when I first ever employed somebody, I reckon they'd be listening to this guy. This can't be the same person who employed me because he was a complete twat. Yeah, he had no idea what he was doing, and they were right. I did have no idea what I was doing. So I apologize.
Yeah. Mate, it segues perfectly to what I want to talk about, though, is this imposter syndrome. This, we don't know what we're doing for so much of it, but it's something that I hit you up to chat about because it's something that has impacted me a lot through my whole career, and I think has impacted a lot of other people. And it's
and in what context are you meaning imposter syndrome?
There's a few different iterations that I've found through my career. So, I mean, I'll take you back to the first kind of one. And I was talking to someone about this just the other day, but it's when you first come out of university. So you've studied for all this period of time. You're then titled podiatrist. You're qualified. You're the expert. You should be the professional. And then you're sitting in front of this patient and they expect you to be able to tell them what to do. They're paying you to be able to tell them what to do. And you have no idea, or you feel like you have no idea, so you're sitting there just going, I am an imposter. I shouldn't be here. Like, I don't deserve this. And you do know these things. Like, you've been through uni, you've studied these things, all this kind of stuff, but all of a sudden you don't have perhaps those same support networks surrounding you.
And everybody has been in that position. Everybody has been in that position where they've got early on in their career, patient in front of them, and they're sat there going, I just could put on a brave face.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's doing the things like, you may not be believing that you actually know what's going on. You might not even have self-confidence in yourself, but it's doing the things that someone who is confident would do. And you know that because you've been on placement, you've been to uni, you know all these kind of things. And it's doing those things. It's not freezing up and going, oh, I'm not going to prescribe you an orthotic. I'm going to just felt pad your foot instead. I'm going to do something like this. It's doing the things you need to do despite not feeling confident enough to do them. And that's something that at the time, I guess I didn't really realize, but it's not until I kind of reflected on it down the track and I went, that was a really weird experience where you're sitting there just going, I'm just bluffing. I'm just making it up this whole way because like my poker
Yeah,
face needs to be good because otherwise they're not going to believe the word I'm saying.
I think you underestimate yourself. I think a lot of new graduates underestimate their ability. Like my brother's a
Yeah.
dentist, and he
Yep.
went and got a master's or whatever in oral surgery. He was bored, so he went and got a law degree. And I
Of
said to
course.
him one day,
Absolutely.
yeah, messing around, oh, what's it like having a law degree? He said, a law degree, he says, I feel like a glorified librarian. I just know what it's taught me is how to research to find the answer.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of podiatrists, when you have that patient in front of you, first up, you may not have the answer right off the top of your head, but you should have the knowledge on where to go and look to find the answer. So if the person points at the first MPJ and you're not exactly sure what it is, you should be able to have enough knowledge, do enough research on that area to at least narrow it down, try something, have them come back, get the feedback. This is this thing called the OODA loop. I talk about it in the reboot program. OODA loop's awesome. Anyway, you get that feedback, but that feedback then gives you experience. That if it was positive, you go, oh, okay, I never thought about that. That's good. If it was negative, you don't drop your bundle and have a big sook. You go, okay, well, what else did I learn when I was reading those articles? I'm going to try this. Patients love it when you don't give up.
Yeah. And it's having the confidence to have another crack as well.
Yeah.
To not, yeah, as you say, to not just go, all right, throw your hands in the air. I don't know what to do. It's have another crack, give it another go. There's another treatment methodology that you've read about, someone's told you about. Give that a go. Maybe with this first thing didn't work, maybe your diagnosis wasn't quite right, but it's knowing where to go to next. And it's such an important part. But yeah, it's overcoming that initial sense of I don't really deserve to be here.
Yeah.
I don't really deserve to be taking money off this person for the treatment that I'm about to provide and turning that into, no, I do know what I'm doing. I know how to get this person better. They're coming to me for treatment because I'm the professional and I'm the one who is able to guide them to where they need to get to and prescribe whatever treatment it is that they need to get them better. And it's,
I had a podiatrist recently I was talking to who'd been out for about 8 years. And she said, what you're saying to me now is exactly what she said to me.
Yep.
Oh, I don't really know anything about biomechanics or prescribing orthotics, so I don't do them. I went, oh, okay. I said, so if we had a room of, I don't know, in grade 10 in a room together and with you, and somebody actually had a foot problem and needed treatment, who is the most qualified person in that room to help them? And she said, well, I am. I go, who do you think knows more about the foot in that room? She said, well, I do. And if the person's foot was standing, and I said, and it does this, what's it doing? And she told me. I said, what about if it's doing that? She told me. And I said, what about this? And all of a sudden I said, she went, shit, I know more than I thought. And it's because the information when you graduate, you've passed. The information is in there. It's just having the ability of knowing when to pull it out and when to do some research. But keep a brave face at the same time.
100%. It's also, I think, some of it becomes somewhat second nature to us in that we think, oh, well, this is just common knowledge. Someone knows this is plantar fasciitis. Someone knows this is whatever condition it might be. And so for us, it doesn't seem like something really important that we're saying or doing. But to this person, this is completely a complete revelation. They've never heard these terms before. They don't know what's going on. All they know is that they're in pain, and you're the one who's able to provide them a solution to it. And it's, I think so often podiatrists need to remember this rather than doing a cop out kind of treatment. Take a chance, take a bit of a crack at it. I guarantee 9 times out of 10, a patient will not be grumpy that what you gave a crack at didn't work.
Oh yeah.
They will be, as long as you frame it in the fact that, okay, we thought that this is what was going to happen. It didn't. That actually gives us even more information about what is happening. And so we can move on this other treatment pathway. And it's being able to understand that, yeah, you are the professional. You're not some imposter that's sitting into this room here. And yeah, you are able to get that person to where they need to go. So
the worst thing I hate hearing is when I'll talk to a podiatrist, might be a coaching client or something, and they'll say, oh yeah, one of our staff, we've read in their file and they keep saying, I told the patient, just see how it goes. And I went, oh my God, I said, please tell them to just give themselves an uppercut every time they write that down, because they can just see how it goes. They've come to you for treatment. They've come to you for advice. To tell them, okay, well, you may have tried something that didn't work. Okay, well, just see how it goes. To me, that is That is not advice.
Yeah.
That's copping out.
Yeah. It's lazy.
It's
Just
tapping out
lazy.
when you can still breathe.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Just
I got scared.
get
I
choked
tapped out.
mate.
Yeah,
Done.
I
Yeah.
tapped out because I thought it might hurt.
That's right. Just black out. Yeah. Go all the way.
Go limp.
Dear me. The next stage.
Yes.
The next time, though, is really interesting because so I kind of continue to move through, continue to treat patients, worked as an employee. That was fine. It was all great. Started up a business. I had no idea what I was doing. I knew how to do podiatry, but from a business perspective, no clue what's going on. You're approaching landlords, you're approaching other allied health, you're trying to get doctors to refer to your business that's completely foreign to them that they have no idea. And you're sitting in front of them in this room, trying to tell them why these other people that they've been referring to for all this period of time are not the right people to refer to anymore, and they should start referring to you. That is a period of time, at least for myself, you feel like there's such a fraud. You're like, I have no idea what I'm doing. And it's just putting on that brave face. Again, maybe your employer's asked you that can you go out and speak to this physio? Can you go out and do this presentation to these doctors, whatever? And you're standing in front of them, and these people have been doing it for 20, 30 years. They've been doing physio for 20 years. They've been doing, GP for 30 years, whatever. They haven't been doing podiatry. They don't know these things. They don't know these things that you are telling them, that you're presenting to them. And again, it's these things that in our minds, we kind of just assume that everyone knows, but they don't. And getting out there and telling people, providing them this information, educating them on some of the services that podiatrists can provide, it's enormous, right? It's enormous for the clinician, because then they can refer their patients, because they understand when to refer their patients. They don't refer to the physio, they don't refer to the orthopedic surgeon, they refer to the podiatrist instead. And that's, you're not being a fraud, but it takes a minute. It really takes a minute to understand that. And you're standing there in the moment, and the anxiety levels are peaking, your blood pressure's up, you're feeling a little bit nervous and a little bit queasy. And it's just pushing through that, because it is so important to be able to take that next step. And if it's not kind of scaring you, it's probably not really something that's going to move you to anywhere new in your career. Hey,
that's true. But I think that whole imposter thing, when it comes to talking to other health professionals, because I've mentioned it before, where sometimes some people, they look at the healthcare totem pole.
Yeah.
And they put podiatry way down on the totem pole, and they put physios above them, and they put the GPs, and they put everybody else above them. And that's the amount of times when some people say, I wasn't smart enough to do medicine, which you almost said at the beginning, but I pulled you up on. But the thing is, a lot of people have said it. And me going back 30 years ago, I was probably thinking exactly the same thing. I wouldn't have been smart enough to do medicine. But I think when you do podiatry, we end up with a unique set of skills that other people don't do and don't understand.
Yep.
And then we've got to realize, when you're talking to an orthopedic surgeon, they don't know how the foot works. They don't know how it applies to everything else. And you've got to go in with that confidence that when it comes to this particular area of the body,
you are the specialist.
You are the specialist. It'd be like be like a podiatrist trying to argue with an optometrist over the eye. They know the eye far better than us. No matter what book I've read, they know more.
Which is the ironic thing, right? Because if we have an eye problem, you go to an optometrist and you trust every word they say. If you have a foot problem, go to a GP or a physio or whoever else, which is it's just such a backwards way of thinking.
Because podiatrists put themselves down.
Correct.
And I can only speak for what I see in Australia. America is completely different.
No, it's different.
They are legendary over there, but they still have their own doubts and fears, and they still are not recognised all the time by the general public. Don't know what they do, and they still have the same fights with orthopedic surgeons, but they actually hold themselves up a lot higher than what we do in Australia.
Absolutely, and it's disappointing over here. Through My Family Podiatry, one of the biggest things that we've tried to do is just make sure that we are a part of the community. And what that involves is, speaking to sports teams, going to kindergartens, going to, schools, going to all these different places, just making the role of podiatry really well known. And one of the most interesting things going out to some of these other allied health providers is that no one else is doing it. So you are the only one that's going out to speak to these people. And there's no wonder that we're not getting the recognition, the referrals, all of this kind of stuff, because they have no idea who you are. Just, take that opportunity, take a plunge, call up a clinic, go in and go see them. It's such a potentially business changing, endeavor where you go out and speak to these people, you take 30, 45 minutes, a box of chocolates and, your knowledge, go speak to these people, you build that rapport, build that relationship. It can be enormous. And yet we're not doing it. And that's crazy. And so often I think, as you said, podiatrists and podiatry as a whole seems to just put itself down lower beneath the other allied health, beneath all other health really, which is strange because the things that we can do are far more akin to medical. Physios aren't injecting stuff. They're not doing surgeries. They're not doing any of this kind of thing, which we can do. And we can do that plus pretty much everything that they can on the lower limb. And yet, I don't know. It's a strange way of thinking.
It is frustrating. It's like and it's better now. Like 35 years ago when I graduated, I don't know, maybe I was just a cocky little bugger. I came out all guns blazing, and I came out just thinking I know the foot better than any other health professional. That was just the attitude that I had. So I had no problems getting out there and talking with people. And then occasionally I'd get someone try and shoot me down or try and talk down to me, and I go, "Oi, settle down." I would pull them up for it and go, "Don't talk to me like that."
Yeah, there's just no need.
But then as the years went on, it did get beaten out of me a little bit. I must admit, my attitude towards podiatry, how I felt about myself, the whole job, the profession, it did there was a period of time it did decline.
Absolutely. And there's only so long that you can be the only one sort of fighting the good fight.
Yeah.
So it starts to just wear you out. Hey? But no, it's hopefully, as I said, there's a great group of young people coming through, or I'm still going to say I'm young.
I say I'm young too, and I'm not, but that's all right.
Absolutely.
But you are.
Great group of young people coming through who seem to really be pushing.
I think so. It's fantastic.
And hopefully, maybe things start to change. And
well, it's even the term. If you think, like the term doctor, I'm not saying whether you agree with or disagree. That's not the point I want to make. But there'll be some people that are just automatically using it now, not thinking anything of it. And there's other people that won't use it for no reason other than I just don't feel like using it. They don't have an opinion on it. And then you have the dickheads who, if you use the term doctor, you're a wanker. And I'm going, no, you're pulling the profession down. Because if someone chooses to use it legally, because you can in Australia, in America, they'd be going, why even have an argument?
Yeah,
but
exactly.
It's the ones who try and drag down or ridicule the ones that do choose to use it. That to me, they're the ones that are putting themselves down on the totem pole because they go, but we shouldn't use the title. Well, why not? Dentists do, chiropractors do.
There's only one time I've used it. This story is suitable. It's fine.
Yeah, go for it. If it's no good, I'll edit it out.
But it was when I was moving to Tassie and I was applying for rental properties down there. No one would lease me a place. Mr. Cameron Bennett. No one wanted to borrow me. I sent through a couple with Dr. Cameron Bennett on there. Buddy, instantly. What can we do? Can we arrange a video tour for you? How can we make it more suitable for you? Hang on a second. There's something to this. I don't use it day to day because I just don't feel a need to. But people want to, but no qualms with it. If you want to use it, and
that's why that's how it should be. If you want to use it, use it. If you don't want to use it, don't use it. Yeah. But if you don't use it, don't bag the people that do use it. They just. I used it once to get a restaurant. I got a restaurant booking once because I used it.
Perfect.
Couldn't get in.
Exactly.
Couldn't get a table. Yeah. Couldn't get a table. So then I rang up again, changed my voice. Hello, this is Dr. Franklin. And boom, got a table straight away.
It's incredible, isn't it? It's incredible.
It's stupid.
Society's perceptions are wacky. But no, it's the one time I don't like people using it though is when they use it to try and make themselves seem better than the people who aren't using it. So that's kind of the inverse to the ones that you were talking about who try and drag down the ones that are using it. It's the others who are using it as if there's something above everyone else. And it's like, mate, you're exactly the same. There is no difference. If anything, the fact that you feel the need to overcompensate and try and push everyone else down, that just really shows true character, doesn't it?
But I think it doesn't matter. I don't think it matters. I think every profession is the same. Like everything I've spoken about podiatry. And then I'll talk to my brother who's a dentist. Yeah. And he goes, everything you're saying about podiatry happens in dentistry, other than the recognition part. Everyone knows what a dentist does. I've got friends who are optometrists. They say exactly the same thing. You got the same They said they must be related. They must have family members that are dentists or optometrists. They try and pull people down for whatever reason. You see them on Facebook all the time. The trolls. They must just be sitting there in front of their keyboard watching Facebook pages, just waiting for someone to post something so they can go keyboard warrior.
Exactly, just rip in. This is the highlight of their day, being able to tear someone else down. It just baffles me. But that being said, there's days that you get dragged into it, isn't there? You just sit there and go, no,
I don't. I rarely.
bite.
I rarely bite. In my head, I think a lot. I type a lot, but I post very little on opinions because I'm just thinking, no one wants to know what I think. So I just keep it to myself, especially if what I was going to type was probably negative. I'm thinking if I'd typed what they wrote and then somebody else said what I'm about to write, how would it make them feel? So I go, it's probably better to just let it go. There's enough other people that are bagging them. They don't need me to dive in. So I tend to just keep it to myself. Plus, I don't want to be seen as a person that we all, I don't want to be seen as the people we know. Everyone knows them, knows who they are.
Yeah, exactly. You don't want to be lumped in with those people. There's more than enough negative participants in this industry. Having a few positive ones is always going to go a long way. And you're not going to get any recognition being positive. No one's going to care. But it might make someone else's day. And that's the only thing. Hey, it's like one person might appreciate it for that day. They'll forget about it. They probably won't really care.
The thing I get more of a kick out of it, like I could get on Facebook and I could bag someone, I could post a comment to try and go, oh, look at me, I'm awesome. And I was just joking, just say, just look in the mirror for that. Anyway, when I tell you that I might,
it's hard, isn't it? It's hard.
It's hard. Yeah. Anyway, I'm sure people who have listened to this podcast enough know we talk rubbish sometimes.
It's an important part of the podcast.
But the positive feedback I get from people who will just send me a little message to go, hey, listen to Cameron Bennett. I really enjoyed when you spoke about this. Or they'll go, I like the banter that you had with this person. Yeah. And there's been a few times I've thought about, I don't know if I'll keep doing the podcast. And every time I think about it, I get the email from that student who was about to leave but decided not to, or that person was going to leave podiatry, and I go, damn it.
Yep. Can't give up now.
I can't give up now. I have to stay. So we're getting close to episode 300. So people who don't like the podcast, bad luck. We're here for a bit longer.
It's a real shame. Real shame for those ones. Actually, I want to throw something else in for today.
Yes. Dive into something else because we have been talking for a while, and there's something else I know that we need to talk about.
100%. Well, this is how I got around this whole imposter syndrome, and this is something that I've been working on myself for quite some time, and then I have started implementing a little bit with my team as well. And it's the dirty S word of podiatry, of healthcare, and the fact I'm going to say it is probably going to give me plenty of criticism, but sales. Sales is king. If you're not selling, you're going bankrupt. But it's the whole perception of sales is so.
Can I just say something about the sales though? I mean, some people say, I don't like sales, and I'll go, have you got a girlfriend, boyfriend? Yeah. Oh, well, yeah. I go, okay, so you're a salesperson. Okay, because for anyone of the opposite sex to go out with you, or the same sex, doesn't really matter. Yeah. For somebody to have wanted to go out with you, you had to sell yourself.
Correct.
And that's all sales.
It's just a transference of confidence. So I am confident in the treatment plan that I'm providing, and it's transferring that confidence from me to you. And then the reverse exchange for that is money. You give me money for the transference of confidence. And that could be, Tyson, I need to see you in 6 to 8 weeks' time to do your nails again. That could be, I need you to put cream on your heels every single day. It could be, I have this orthotic that I need to do. And this is where everyone goes to. Oh, sales, they're selling orthotics, they're doing this, they're doing that. You can be a general podiatrist who's just clipping toenails every single day. And you need to sell every single time to get that person to come back again, to get them to do the treatment that you're trying to do.
That's no different.
If you're telling me that you're not a salesperson, you're a liar, or you are a terrible clinician. It's one of the two. Because if no one's coming back to you, then okay, you're not selling. That's fine. But you can't tell me that you're not in sales if you have people returning to you, because it's a lie.
No, it's one of those things. What I always find funny when people go, they're just trying to sell orthotics. And I'm going, you go to an optometrist. Why do you go to the optometrist? You might go just to get your eyes checked. And now if they say your eyes are perfect, you do not need glasses. However, if the optometrist looks at your eyes and goes, oh, you got this, this, and this, we're prescribing glasses. Do you walk out of the optometrist and go, oh, bloody hell. Every time I go to the optometrist, they're just selling me glasses all the time. But the thing is, probably 95% of people that walk through an optometrist's door probably need glasses. Majority of people walk into a podiatry clinic that have got a foot problem and some form of pain. There's a big chance orthotics may be one of the beneficial things that could help them. So to say, I'm not going to prescribe orthotics, I don't want to be seen like I'm flogging them. To me, you're under-treating patients.
Correct. That's exactly right. It's a broken mentality because people are typically not coming to you just for a chat. They're coming to you because they have a foot problem. And if you're not treating their foot problem, you are doing them a disservice.
Yep.
They're not coming into the clinic because everything's fine. Typically, maybe they're coming in for a diabetic foot assessment. Great. Do their assessment. If there's no issues, send them on their way. Have, professional ethics and morals and all that kind of stuff. That's wonderful. But if they're coming to you with a foot problem that could be treated with an orthotic and you're not doing one because you feel that you're going to be perceived as some sleazy salesperson, then you are a rubbish podiatrist. You are not treating people properly and you should not be in the industry. It's that simple, because if you're the person that's sending them off with some semi-compressed felt instead of giving them a proper treatment, that is a disservice to people, and that is going to cause problems down the track because you didn't treat their whatever issue it was, and then instead of only having a little bit of midfoot pain, now they've got a stress fracture. Now their Achilles is ruptured. Now something else has happened because you didn't treat them in the first place, and that is the part that frustrates me the most about everything. When people tell me that I don't want to be a salesperson, I don't want to do whatever. Okay, well then just leave, because you shouldn't be treating people. It's that simple. And
can I ask you a question though?
That was a rant. Sorry.
Oh no, I'm into rants. I do it all the time. But are you saying when you mentioned that semi-compressed felt, someone comes in with a certain problem? I used to use semi-compressed felt as part of my initial treatment. Have them go off to test something, have them come back, and then from there I'd work out what I was going to do next. Are you talking about just doing semi-compressed felt, see how it goes?
Yeah. If I see someone come back and, I saw the podiatrist 6 months ago and they put this bit of felt in my shoe and they said, this will sort you out, and they sent me on their way.
Oh no, slap them.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Look, semi-compressed felt has a very, very small role in treatment protocols, in my opinion. And it could be exactly what you say, whereas this small test in as an interim, or treatment-directed testing leading towards an orthotic, or in the times that I'm mainly using it is like offloading a wound or offloading something else like this. Yeah. That's fine. Okay, that's wonderful. But yeah, if you're putting a semi-compressed felt MLA into someone's shoe and you're sending them on their way with no review appointment booked and no
that's bad
direction for where your treatment's going to, that's ridiculous.
I was talking about that with a coaching client today. We were actually talking about that whole thing where patients need a treatment pathway to follow. They need to be told, you're checking them out today and you say, I'm going to do this today. And then when you come in next time, we're going to do this. Based on how that goes, we'll work it out from there. But every time they come in, they need to know what the next step is going to be. So they can see where they're going. Whereas, nothing worse when I've heard people say, I've been to a physio, and they'll do something. They go, see how it goes and get back to us. I go, oh no, I know how it'll go. I won't do what you told me to do, and I'll end up seeing another physio.
Yep, exactly. It's really interesting because I wrote some notes coming into this, and exactly what you've said is where I'm at in my notes. So how good. Because what I wanted to discuss in terms of sales is every consult basically follows the exact same pathway. So a patient comes in your door, we break it down in our notes, SOAP, subjective, objective, assessment, plan. And if you look at the treatment, it's pretty much this straight line where they'll come in the door, you've got your subjective assessment, you're going to ask the person some questions. They're going to try and take you off all pathways on this. They're going to ask you about your family. They're going to ask you about the weather. They're going to talk about this. They're going to talk about that. You need to keep that reined in, and you need to talk to them about relevant stuff whilst building rapport. These are really, really important. But you gather all that info. That follows the exact same treatment pathway pretty much every single time. In my clinic, I sit them in a chair where I'm at the same level. This is something I chat from Jonathan Small, where we're at the same level. So you're not getting this kind of a power dynamic where you're sitting at the feet and they're sitting up higher. So they'll sit in the clinic chair, I'll sit in my treatment chair, and we're eye to eye. We have this discussion, fantastic, gather the information we need, get them up into the treatment chair, start running through the objective assessment. We're following the same pathway of treatments pretty much every single time, ensuring that the correct relevant tests are performed every single time. But commenting on these tests as you go. What that gives is that it gives the patient an understanding of why you're doing these tests. Why are they checking this range? What does that feel like? Why is the fact that I have a really hypermobile sort of midfoot potentially contributing to my pain? Explain why each of these things are happening so that then they have an understanding, one, that you know what you're doing, and two, that you're not just doing it for show.
Yeah.
You run through to that assessment. You know, maybe that's this gait analysis. You've done your video gait analysis. You're sitting there, you're breaking down your video gait analysis. You're showing them exactly what's going on, showing, you know, this foot's doing this is doing this is what's contributing to your pain, and explaining why each of these examinations that you've performed have provided information as to why this person's in pain. You get into your plan. The plan is where you close the deal, you close the sale, you provide the treatment. It depends what terminology you feel comfortable using.
Yeah.
But this is the point where you've already elaborated to that person. You've told them every single detail about why the treatment that you're proposing is going to correct the different things that you've shown them through their assessment, why the orthotic is going to straighten up this part of their foot or offload this area in their foot to reduce their pain or whatever it might be. And all you're doing at this final stage is transferring the confidence in you and your ability to provide that treatment to them. And that's done in a couple of ways. One, it's done by showing exactly why the treatment you're proposing is going to offload them. Two, you can tell them the treatment timeframes that you believe are going to happen, when you're getting them back for a review, when they're going to be seeing pain relief, when this is, you know, whatever's going to be happening. And three, you're confidently communicating price. That's the key.
The price is the big thing. And that's where a lot of people, they'll talk and you can see them. I've been to other health professionals or just other salespeople, and they're explaining everything, and I can see their body language and the tone of their voice, and I can tell as they're getting closer to the close or to the getting to the money figure, and I start smiling because inside I'm going, and I'm going to start to watch them slowly die.
Just squirm.
And as they're talking, you see their body language get worse, and they start to slump, and they're not making eye contact with you anymore, and then the voice starts to change, and I'm like, they don't believe in what they're selling me, because their whole body language is telling me I'm just going through a process that I don't believe. So I think it's important that whatever treatment you're doing, you got to believe it 100% that this is the right thing, whether it's orthotics, not orthotics, whatever the cost is.
Yeah, exactly. And it's having this structure. This is the biggest thing. So
the structure is the important part.
I would sit there and I would go, I have no idea what I'm talking about. I don't know how I'm going to treat this person. I don't know. Okay, what's the structure? What are the assessments that I need to do? Okay, great. I'm going to run through these assessments. Fantastic. That's given me this piece of information. From that, I can infer the next part. I can communicate this next part to them. Okay, great. They've responded well to that. Awesome. Now let's move to this next step. And having this structure through there, despite feeling like an imposter, despite feeling not confident in your ability or whatever it might be, that structure is what allows you to then act in a way of someone who is confident. And it's by acting in a way of someone who is confident that you build the evidence to then become confident. If you've treated 500 plantar fascia patients and you've got success with 500 plantar fascia patients, you're going to feel very confident when that 501st one comes in.
Oh, definitely.
But the first ever PNA that I did outside of uni, I was meant to have a mentor in there with me, and she was called away. She was busy. And the patient asked me, how many of these have you done? Yeah. And I said, heaps. Yeah, I've done heaps. Great. My hand was shaking. My hand was shaking as I was trying to give the local. And it all went well. There was no drama. After we'd finished, I said to her, look, I've got to come clean. That was actually my first ever one that I've done by myself. So it was real good. And and it worked, right? And then the next one that comes along, you go, well, I've done one of these before. That's a little bit easier. And it's only by taking that first bit of action, that first step, having that first crack at whatever it is, that you can build the confidence to be able to go on to do many more set up your own practice, to employ people, to do all these other cool things that you can
It's
do
little
within the
wins.
profession.
It's little wins along the way, and
100%.
keep building on the wins. Like my first, nail surgery I did, it was on a barrister. My first one in private practice. And I'd only ever done one at uni.
Yep.
And I remember him asking me, so how many of these you done? I said, oh, including you. And I paused and I counted in the air. I said, 2. Anyway, I'm the second person you've ever done one on. I said, if I told you how good the first one went, you will have no concerns. I said, it was just like, I said, amazing. Like I'd done 1,000 of them. And it did. My first one went that well. So I was super confident that I had a win really early at uni, no problems. Everything went perfect. So I didn't have problems with that. But I think it's important, like you said, it's just, you've got to take action. From the action, you get a result. You take that feedback on and you add on to it. And occasionally you're going to get the odd patient talking nail surgery, but you explain a treatment plan too, and they bite your head off. Oh, that's bloody stupid. I'm not paying that sort of money. And sometimes it can dent your confidence, but you got to realize they're so few and far between. You're just going to move on.
The few that will do that are not worth the anxiety that you have for all the rest of them that won't do it.
Yep.
And that's the biggest thing is I know for myself is I could get 50 5-star reviews and I get 1 3-star, and that's the one I lose sleep over. It gets you, doesn't it? You hold yourself to such a high standard that when you don't achieve that standard, and maybe it's not even that you didn't achieve that standard, but just that the person's perception of whatever it wasn't up to that level. And
reviews can be like that though.
Yeah,
I remember I got a 1-star review on my book once.
Oof.
And hang on. The world's greatest podiatry business book, in case anyone needs a copy. It's no secret there's money in podiatry. But anyway, that one I've got to post out to someone.
Good book. Actually, I read the small business one, but yeah, that was a good book.
But had 108 months in a row that I've made money from that book. I've got money from Amazon. But still, I got this 1-star review from this dude called Emil. I think it was in the UK. And what I loved it, they didn't put the full name. And they give you a 1-star review, and they used my name in the review. So, it was a real personal attack. And when I first got it, I went, you tosser.
Yep.
But then now I use it all the time as motivation. And I tell people about it all the time because I reckon it's hilarious.
Yeah. gives you that fire. Hey, it gives you that fire. In the moment, though, it's such a kick in the guts, and you just go, put my blood, sweat, and tears into this, and someone's.
I'm going to dedicate my next book to all my 1-star reviews.
Fantastic.
I'm writing this 3rd book for all my 1-star reviews. Give me more. Give it your best. Give it your best shot, and I bet I don't stop writing.
No, absolutely.
and that's what you got to do with your patients. You get a bad review, or you have a patient that you get and some negative feedback when you explain the treatment plan. They are few and far between, and unfortunately, you might cop a few early. And if you do, just remember they are the minority. The majority of people want to follow your treatment.
Absolutely, they do. And it's about delivering it confidently, because if you don't deliver it confidently, they're not going to be confident in you. And it can be hard to believe in yourself, especially in those early stages, but it's just about going through the motions, ensuring that you are doing things as well as you know how to do, finding mentors, reaching out to people, listening to yourself, reaching out to some of these other people in the industry that have been around for a long time, who know what you're going through and are prepared to help, because there's some there that'll there's some that'll rip you down, and there's some, not so nice people in the industry. And that can be some of the problems with some of these.
But they're few and far between
Facebook
as well.
Groups. Yeah, it's these Facebook groups. I think you see some of that negativity sometimes coming out of it. But
except the Podiatry Business Owners Club, that's a very friendly group.
That is a good one. It's
a no dickhead zone.
Yeah, I know.
If any of them raise their head and start acting that way, I just boot them out.
Smack them.
I've thrown a lot out. I try to keep it safe. I want a place where people will post something and get intelligent answers.
Yeah.
Not post something and then get just some rando.
Criticized.
Yeah.
It makes no sense, hey? And it's the ones who typically have the least experience who are the chirpiest, hey? They want to criticize, they want to say something.
What else have you got in your notes? Because I'm looking at the time, and if you've got anything that's super important that you need to discuss, I want to make sure you get it out.
No, nothing. I was about to say, just to put a bow on it, basically.
Put a bow on it.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, basically to put a bow on it, like with everything we've talked about today, it can be really confronting when you first come out and you first start treating people, because people are coming to you in a state of pain, in a state of anxiety. They're nervous about coming to a podiatrist. They want treatments. And that can be really confronting, especially in your first years. And having that confidence to be able to appropriately deliver a treatment plan can be really nerve-wracking. But it's getting those little wins under your belt, getting those results where someone gets improvement. That will build that confidence for you being able to go to that next one. That's where you will be able to know, okay, if I do this treatment, I'm expecting this result. And sometimes it won't work out, but normally it will. And if you do have any concerns or queries, there's always people in the industry to reach out to. So just take it from someone who always second guessed and had that kind of imposter and lack of confidence. If I can do it, most other people can. And just giving it a red hot crack, because it's a good industry to be in. There's a lot of opportunity. I think podiatry is heading in a good direction. So,
no, I think there's a fitting way to finish. So, Cameron, I want to thank you for coming on the Podiatry Legends podcast, sharing part of your story on where you were, some of the things you had done. You changed a fair bit at the beginning, and it's just the path you went through to finally get to be a podiatrist was interesting. Thank you for sharing that. And I agree with you. The whole imposter syndrome thing, sales and having sales scripts, and all, I just think they're really important topics. So thank you very much.
Mate, thank you for having me, Tyson. I appreciate it.